The movie opens with a current scene, showing us a chemical plant, where new experiments and research are being conducted, and lethal weaponry is produced. This plant is located in Libya. They were being guarded by numerous soldiers. The general was shown there to be very happy with his family, but this pleasure would not continue. And then a guy kills a soldier, and all of a sudden that chemical plant is the target of an attack. Bombs began to drop in the area. Some individuals used guns to attack the people there, while they were seated in their cars. The heads of those who were attacking there are now visible. This was actually a pretty large terrorist who apprehended the general, and questioned him about the bombs there, as hazardous weapons were manufactured there utilizing chemicals. That's why the terrorists arrived to take the guns. The terrorist threatens to kill him as well, since the general withholds the location from him. The general informed him about the guns and bombs after observing everything. However, that terrorist murders the general as well after discovering everything. We are now shown Bernie, the man who visited his friend's home. He was listening to his pal, who was fighting with his female companion, Gina, as he stood outside. Gina and her friend Lee got into a fight, because Gina felt Lee did not give her enough attention due to his employment. Bernie was standing in front of a door which Lee was now opening. It was his intention to bring him along. In actuality, Bernie lost his ring in a bar game of chance. However, he found it quite appealing, despite its high cost. In order for these folks to go to the pub and get that ring back, he came with Lee. Bernie was a close friend of Lee's. Thus, he prepares to accompany Bernie. Bernie informs him en route that the biggest thug in this place is the one who possesses my ring. In order for the bartender to return our ring, we should speak with him first. He warns the bartender that he will have to battle with those individuals if he wants the ring when he goes to speak with him. There will be conflict for you. You can then take your ring with you. Lee, who was a skilled fighter, now begins murdering each person one by one. He was giving everyone a thorough wash. Bernie, seated far away, was observing everything with great curiosity. He had the impression that a scene was playing in front of him. Now that only one man remains, Bernie stands up to murder him. But terror made that gangster man return Bernie's ring. The scene at the chemical facility is now displayed once more, where the last soldiers were being shot and killed by the same terrorist, who had assassinated the general. The crew of Expendable 4, which is also the title of this film, is next seen at the CIA headquarters. Bernie and Lee also visit there. It is revealed that these two are, in fact, members of the CIA unit known by the infamous moniker Expendable. Gina was a former CIA employee as well. All these people are getting to know a new friend here. Here, their friend informs Lee and Bernie that they have an assignment that they must finish quickly. Then they take their heads off, indicating to us that their task is to apprehend a terrorist who poses a threat. That's the same terrorist that carried out the Libyan chemical facility attack. Hedden tells everyone that he has another acquaintance who is a very big gangster, and he shows them his image. They board an aircraft now and head to Libya. When they arrived in Libya after roughly 3 hours, the terrorists group had attacked them. Lee now orders us to exit the moving aircraft, and the entire crew exits the aircraft as a result. Bernie, though, remained in the aircraft. There, he leaves his friends behind. Bombs and nuclear weapons have also been pilfered by terrorists there. Additionally, Lee's companion tries to shoot him, as he exits the building after he has stolen something. However, his weak eyes caused him to miss his target. After that, Lee and his friend follow the terrorist while seated in the car. A fracas occurred. Bernie, seated aboard the aircraft, observed everything. He also orders Lee to apprehend him right away. He's escaping with the bombs. Lee was behind his vehicle. This is the reason that Bernie's jet is attacked once more. Lee was attempting to assist him when he noticed this. Bernie, however, orders you to capture him first and preserve the weaponry. He claims that he and the terrorist are fleeing together. Lee exclaims, "Everything has gone to hell." Upon hearing this, he had second thoughts. His endeavor was doomed from this point on. Lee first takes out the machine that he was using to assault Bernie's aircraft. However, the terrorist then opens fire on the plane that Bernie was burning on. Bernie's jet has now totally crashed as a result of this. Bernie has permanently left everyone behind, as Lee discovers when he dashes on foot in the direction of the jet. The Expendable 4 crew was now congregating in a pub, in sorrow for their lost friend. Dead. Their heads appear there at that point. Who declares, "Lee, you've ruined the entire plan. You have destroyed our mission. I can't have you on my team anymore. Go ahead." The other members of Lee's group also state that you could have finished the objective if you so desired. You squandered our friend as well. The sacrifice that Bernie made in order to complete this mission. Lee departs after learning all of this. He had been kicked off the team. He is currently without money. Lee begins searching for a new career as a result. He picks up a newspaper and discovers that the social media influence he follows is a pretty rude man. Lee quits his job after fighting and killing the man on the first day. Then he returned home. He thinks of his friend Bernie after returning home. He believes that he would exact retribution on his killers, after glancing at his ring. At that point, he discovers a file at home. Gina, another acquaintance of his, visits his home. The one introduced to us at the start of the narrative was likewise a former CIA employee. "Whose file is this?" he asks Gina. "It's Oswald's file," she says. This is roughly when Bernie figured out the case. Oswald was a major mafia figure. This instance had a condition: as long as everyone who is alive and involved in this case is, nobody is able to open this case. Bernie is now deceased as well, as he was the only person aware of this situation while he was still living. We obtained the file for this case for that reason. We are going to exact revenge on Bernie immediately. Lee hands a blade to him. He tells Gina to kill the killer and exact revenge on Bernie. Gina had left for Thailand early in the morning. Lee stands up fast as well and is ready, and begins using his phone to find out where he is. As it happened, the dagger he gave Gina activated its GPS, allowing him to track Gina's team's location. There, Gina and her companions arrive at the headquarters of South Asia's covert CIA. Lee had left for Thailand from there. In actuality, he had come here looking for one of Bernie's old friends. Lee is prepared to exact revenge on Bernie for his death, after meeting Bernie's friend and learning of Bernie's disappearance. The CIA squad receives its unique weapons there. At that point, he loses his head, and everyone learns about the same terrorist, who had earlier assaulted the Libyan factory, and murdered Bernie. Now that he had taken control of a sizable ship and was stealing a lot of cargo from it, he had effectively hijacked the vessel. Furthermore, he states that Oslo will board that ship as well. He is a major mob figure. We only have one chance to catch him. And now, take great care of your task. It's not how you did it in Libya. You destroyed every assignment. And for that reason, I'm coming with you now. Gina now shares the mission's details with everyone. They will need to take that action. She explains that we will use a parachute to help us get off that ship first. After that, we're going to kill that terrorist after killing Oslo. The nuclear weapons that were taken from the Libyan site will thereafter be sent to us. Our mission will then be accomplished. He converses with Bernie's acquaintance, who had met him. On the other hand, he tells him what a good friend you were to Bernie. What made you leave him, then? Why did you walk away from him? He states that during my life, I killed a great many people, and murdering them brought me joy. For this reason, it was crucial that I stop myself. I came here to change who I was, leaving everyone behind. It is now shown aboard the vessel. Expendable Force team had also arrived at the ship. However, there was already an army of terrorists on that ship, encircling it from all directions. Additionally, they had imprisoned them in one area of the ship by grabbing their guns. They all began accusing one another after that and became stuck there as a result of their error. The terrorists then arrive there. They inquire, "Who is your leader?" When their leader hears this, he declares, "I am the head." Thus, they abduct the director of the CIA and carry him along. The friends of Lee and Bernie also made it to the ship in the meantime. Lee is left on the ship by Bernie's pal, and claims we were in the same group. "And I'm going to start killing people again if the animal inside of me awakens, and none will escape my grasp. That's the reason you go for exact revenge on Bernie." Lee responds that it's alright after learning this. "I'm alone enough to handle everything." He now arrives at the ship, and discovers that the ship is empty. He believes that this situation would have resulted in violence. But how is such great tranquility possible? Now, as he enters the ship, a man shoots a gun at him from behind, and orders him to remain in this position, not to turn around. Lee tells him not to stand there or turn around. Likewise, he murders the man and walks off. The chief of the CIA is now presented to us as a terrorist, who orders him to abandon the man, who was a major terrorist like him. If not, he would eliminate the entire CIA team. Lee was making progress. Once he discovers where he had given Gina the dagger, on the ship, he eliminates the terrorists, and continues onward. It arrives in the Expendable Force luggage. This indicates that he had also removed an axe from the suitcase, and carried it with him and his companion. A terrorist was attempting to get in touch with his group, but nobody responded to him. Next came the walkie-talkie. He speaks with Lee, and claims that your men have all been asleep for a while. The terrorist exclaims, "Oh, it's you," upon hearing Lee's voice. "It's fortunate that you stopped by. I'll get along with your friend right now." The terrorist then dispatches his army to assassinate Lee. However, he was unaware of Lee's strength and potential threats. Lee murders everyone before continuing, and causing chaos. Bernie's pal appears, having left Lee at this location. In his hand, he had a lethal weapon, which, one by one, he was killing them with. "What are you doing here?" Lee asks him as soon as he spots him. "Have you misplaced your way?" Bernie's pal responds, "I'm just like this. How could I let Bernie's friend, whom Bernie cherished, die?" They are now both together. They had also located the location where their other friends were held captive. When they arrived and saw it, They had already departed from this location. They had also discovered a means of leaving this place. However, their lack of firearms prevented them from taking any action. After assisting his friends in getting to them, Lee now leads them to the explosives that the terrorist had hidden within the ship in an attempt to kill them. This has a running time of 27 minutes. Lee responds, "Don't worry, we've only got 27 minutes left." Subsequently, the disposable quartet infiltrates the terrorist organization. Everyone was showing off their skills in killing them. Lee's battle against the terrorists. They were engaged in combat. Lee gives the terrorist a stab. He responds, "That's all you can do." With that, Lee strikes his friend's axe and asks, "Will you see a bigger knife than this? Or does this suffice?" Lee now requests the remote for the bomb. I do not possess the information that the terrorist responds to him. It is with Oslo. A helicopter also shows up there in the interim. They included the companion of the terrorist who had been freed. The soldiers arrive to abandon him. However, the terrorist's companion is killed when the chief of the CIA appears out of nowhere. In reality, this head was Oslo, a major mobster who had collaborated with terrorists. He had also used deception to get his team here, in order for him to bring them here and complete them. And the terrorist sought to bear full responsibility. He completes his mission, and as a result, the entire Expendables 4 team perish. Lee was taking in all of this as well. Where was Oslo supposed to go when someone blew up the chopper from behind? Lee did not want him to leave at that point. Similarly, Oslo hand-tossed the bomb's remote into the sea. Subsequently, he began to target every expense. "We're going to have to leap into the water," Lee says to his friends. "If not, the bomb will detonate, killing each one of us. There isn't anything else we can do." Bernie's friend asks, "Why jump into the water?" After hearing this, "This ship has my boat tied behind it." They have now all exited the ship at the back, and with the use of a rope, they all get into Bernie's friend's boat. Lee cuts the rope when it is his turn and says, "Don't let my sacrifice go in vain." The bomb has 6 minutes remaining in it. Oslo now enters the restroom and steers the ship in a different direction, in order for the ship to be away from the city in the event that the bomb detonates. Oslo instructs his soldiers that none of the expenses should last, and he also makes plans for his yacht. However, he was unaware that the costs had long since passed. There was only Lee left on the ship. He fires at Lee without thinking, for this reason. Lee was answering back with shots as well. But his gun's ammunition runs out quickly. Then he spots a helicopter approaching and blows up the ship with a bomb. Lee emerges and finds that Oslo is still alive. He continued to urge him to spar with him. Lee pulls out his gun by trickery when he feels like fighting. Then, from above, the helicopter attacks Oslo as well, which is how he died. The helicopter contained just the two of them, but Bernie, the living one. When Lee sees him like this, he is astonished. He now sat in the chopper with him, and he took off after that. The ship experiences an explosion as they get a little closer. In the chopper, Lee queries Bernie, "What allowed you to live? I saw your corpse for myself." Bernie claims that I went on a mission 25 years ago, that resulted in the deaths of my 8 teammates. Then, only his file could be released. That's why I did all this drama when I died. Had I not caused all of this commotion, Oslo would have remained unknown to us. All I wanted to do was murder him. Where did you acquire this helicopter? Lee wonders. He says outdated links can be useful sometimes, my friend. To finish their mission, all the expenditures were now assembled in a bar, and to rejoice at Bernie's return. Bernie is asked by Lee, "Whose corpse was on that plane you were sitting in?" "You recall the man who took your ring," he says. This movie recaps concludes here. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Take care and bye now.